Hey there, Toonami faithful, and welcome back aboard Toonami Absolution, where we talk about the shows that made us us and made you you. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alex.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John. We're continuing our Space Ghost romp with episode 5, Bobcat, and episode 6, Punch.
Yes. So, what is your stance? Because I know how I feel.
Nice.
What is your stance on the particular brand of humor that Bobcat Goldthwait brings?
I'd
Bob,
forgotten how much he sounds like the guy from Always Sunny.
Oh,
but
Charlie Day or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he sounds like Charlie.
when
Yeah.
I heard his voice, I immediately had to run to Wikipedia because it was like that voice spoke to me in my childhood. And he's Pain from the Hercules Disney movie and also in Kingdom Hearts. And that's where I remember him from.
He's
Who's he in
also,
Kingdom Hearts?
yeah.
He's Pain. He's still Pain. A big thing they did in Kingdom Hearts was keep a lot of the original voice actors.
My Kingdom Hearts memory is failing me, though.
If you saw the movie Hercules, you know the
I,
character.
yeah, I just forgot Payne was ever had a speaking line in Kingdom Hearts.
He had a couple of them. It's wild. Kingdom Hearts 2 specifically.
Okay, that's probably why I was like 16 when I played that last time.
Oh God. I have the 1+2 remaster on PlayStation, but I think my gateway into Bobcat is
Bobcat.
no, well, probably Scrooged. Probably Scrooged. He's in
Oh,
Scrooged.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's the
I
Bob
want
Cratchit analog in Scrooged.
it all should be noted. This is a really weird time to have Bobcat Goldthwait on. That's a hard name to say. So this aired originally May 27th, 94. So 91, he'd had his directorial debut with a film called Shakes the Clown, which is an interesting movie, I'll say that. But he was in the middle of a lot of controversy. They wouldn't know this when recording, but at this time. So like 93, the year before, he had appeared on Conan O'Brien's show and
Mhm.
trashed the set to
Yeah.
the point he got fined. There was rumors he was going to be banned. He didn't because Conan brought him back on the next week and did a bit with him being punished on live TV. But then in April 94, so like a couple of months before this, he was on the Arsenio Hall
Arsenio
show.
Hall.
Arsenio Hall show, thank you. And that had been announced it was going to be cancelled, so he just caused absolute chaos on that set as well. Spray painted Paramount sucks on the walls and trashed video equipment. So
Mm.
Hall actually tried to restrain him during the recording because apparently it wasn't planned, and they had to get security on it. And then a couple of months after this, he would appear on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, where he lit the guest chair on fire, just pulled out lighter fluid and set it on fire, caused chaos. He was the first Tonight Show guest to be charged with a crime for what he did on the show. He was charged of arson. He was fined $2,700 and required to
Huh.
take public service announcements about fire safety.
Yeah.
So this is a bizarre period to have this guy on.
He's a bizarre man. He also has a long-running feud with Jerry Seinfeld, but that's a whole thing.
I mean,
Okay.
it's the safest thing in the world to have him on Space Ghost Coast to Coast because you just have him in like a black curtain room and somebody just talking to him.
He's
He's
the
fair,
first
we didn't see
person.
his arms. They could have
Yeah,
been pinning him down the entire
Oh,
time.
they could have had him restrained.
yeah. I mean, I will
Okay.
say spray painting Paramount sucks. It's a good thing that Space Coast to Coast then is a Warner Brothers television production.
Which
Because they
is part of
agreed,
the reason I
clearly.
presume he ended up on here.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
he does a pretty good job with the interview with Space Ghost. Like
he's one of the yeah, he's one of the few people that are in on the joke that makes it that kind of works.
Yeah,
yeah.
I had a good time with him. I love this builds up to one of the funnier gags this whole episode of the party cake thing with Space Ghost not knowing what a party is and like presuming it's like a children's birthday party. He works really well, though. Can someone please explain to me why we're attacking the cast of Blossom with hammers? Uh,
Alex.
Blossom is one of those shows in America that like I can tell you very honestly, I've never seen Blossom, but I feel like I know a lot about it because it's referenced everywhere, especially in the 90s.
I've heard references to it, but I didn't know. Like, apparently, we all hated them and wanted to kill them all. I'd missed the memo, and I googled why does everybody hate Blossom, and all I got was a fan site and a Twitter profile of someone who hates Blossom from Powerpuff Girls
That
and
sucks.
posts bizarre art of them being mangled. So I stopped looking it up after that.
Oh, is it because she's the edgy one? Is that it?
No, Buttercup's
Or
the
no,
edgy
that's
one.
Buttercup. That's right. Brown hair or red hair, whatever.
Blossom is the Robin of the
Yeah,
Teen
is the
Titans.
yeah, the so the leader. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's also it kind of like provides insight and answers some questions I have in that Space Ghost Coast to Coast probably is a show that they get talent to do when they're sitting between things because I think they entice the Ramones to do it. It's like, hey, we'll give you some cake if you just answer some like a handful of questions. And they were like, screw it.
I
We
love
get
that Zorak
cake.
is a fan of the Ramones, by the way. Like he's so excited this
Oh
episode to
yeah.
meet them.
Oh yeah. I also note, I think with Bobcat, he's one of the first guests we've had directly reference Moltar and the others. So he clearly knew what was going on in this episode because he referenced the other characters, which all the previous ones haven't done.
Yeah. Yeah. Bobcat Goldthwait. Yeah, for me, it's never I don't know. I've never been a big Bobcat guy as somebody that is more from maybe familiar with his work and the beef with Seinfeld.
The beef with Seinfeld is a piece of information I did not know because I'm not familiar with him outside of Disney. So
The beef with
Yeah.
Seinfeld also sounds like a really good Mountain Goat song.
But all in all, it's a fine episode.
Oh,
It's like I say, like Bobcat's the one who plays along with the joke that kind of gets it better than the preceding guests did. That tried to kind of play along with how ridiculous the show was.
yeah.
Mostly because Bobcat Goldthwait is also a ridiculous person himself.
the Ramones are not as good, but they have a good angle with it here. I think. Obviously, you mentioned the Ramones. The album they mentioned, Acid Eaters, is came out the year before. It was an album of covers from the '60s. It's later Ramones album. That's pretty much the review of it.
I do like
But
the joke that they have. Like, well, why are they only getting released now? Like, I think that joke actually lands quite well.
I really like the thing of well, we're punks, we're always counterculture, and Space Ghost takes punks the kind of very literally like how this is a clean show. So yeah,
It's a
while they're not
clean.
the best interview, they have that two really good jokes to hang off it, and it's that Zorak Space Ghost chemistry again.
It's also like I think it's also interesting because this is the period. If this is an interesting period for Bobcat Goldthwait going through all of his legal stuff in the public eye. I think this is also the period where the Ramones like clearly hate each other.
Yes, yes, it
Yeah.
is. They get I think one more album after this before the wheels totally come off, and that's it
Yeah,
until a couple of them die, and then they see money making.
yeah,
They're not
yeah.
even looking at each other in this interview. Like they barely want to be there.
There's straight ahead. There's the cake. Awesome. Like,
Yeah.
The
Cake.
most animated they get is when the cake arrives, and that is just brilliant to me.
it's like how they entice the Bee Gees to get on the show. It's
With
like, hey, we'll
alcohol.
give you food if you answer some of these. It really is like they're probably waiting in a green room or in between a junket, and they're like, "Do you just want to do this real quick?" And they're like, "Sure, as long as we get something out of it, fine."
Here's the cake.
Yeah,
Also,
the
their Ramones are on a different background as well. They're the only ones who use that background, so it's clearly something else
Yeah.
originally.
yeah.
I always kind of want to like find whatever they're promoting to see other interviews from that junket, and just be like, okay, this is, you were doing Space Ghost in between things here. Cool. Yeah, it's a, Bobcat's an interesting episode. It's a fun one overall, I think. So, but we also have Punch, which is not as fun.
But I do like
Punch.
the intro. I like the intro a lot.
Oh, with the Vatican stuff.
Yeah, they're in the Vatican. Like, what is going on?
Thanks for the timely thumbnail there, Space Ghost.
Yeah, like weirdly timely to be talking about the Vatican.
I love the entire gag of they have Zorak, they leave him. It's like, send the shuttle. We don't have a shuttle. Well, then I'll go. It's
I
very
do.
classic comedy beats.
Yeah, we also finally get Zorak embracing the fact that he's not a locust but a praying mantis, which I've been saying for weeks now.
Yeah, the show like Space Ghost even has to look it up. Like it's very
Yeah.
clear that the guests really weren't pulling a lot of weight in this episode, so the other characters had to start doing it.
It's a bizarre mixture of guests from I know we were joking, but very relevant Bobcat Goldthwait and the Ramones, one of the most famous punk bands in the world, to the Jerky Boys, who were popular. They were famous for doing prank phone calls, apparently. They released their first album 93, had a second album 94. Yes, children, in the 90s, for our phone pranks, we had to buy them on CD.
Yeah.
which is a concept that just feels so alien now. Because
And at that point, probably still cassette tape too in certain markets.
Because that's like that's
Oh
such a
my
thing that's now
God.
that's like that's YouTube. Like prank phone calls is a YouTube genre. You
This
wouldn't
is
get
pre-Crank Yankers, you know. This is pre-Crank Yankers on Comedy Central. This is you know, it's very DIY, I'm sure. Which is why they also just crudely cover their faces like they're a posse.
yes,
Yeah.
which
It's weird. It's so weird. They're like
then
you would expect them to be more fun than they
I
are.
I think they're trying to lampshade it because Space Ghost even says this wasn't my best interview.
Yeah.
But I don't think it. I'm unsure, like if it was originally set up as a meta gag and then that's how they played it, or if the interview was just bad and then they did it as a meta gag. But these guys have zero charisma.
It's so weird.
To the
Would
point
you
it can't be an act, surely.
yeah. Would you say this is, I mean, you're the expert here, Alex. Is that a Brooklyn accent, North Jersey accent? What are we hearing here?
I honestly, it kind of sounds like a Staten Island accent to me. Like it's a bit of a mix of both. Like there's a very Staten Island kind of energy going on with it. You know what I mean?
I do. Having heard it now, yes. You could use a punch in the mouth. Yeah,
You could use
no.
a punch in the mouth. You know, what are you talking about, Molta? Like
Yeah.
it's very that. It's very like Gangs of New York meets Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
The other guests aren't any better. We get Cindy Geyer, who is a model, producer, actress, and restaurateur. She has a restaurant. It's still open, apparently.
Oh,
So
good for her.
that's a future episode. We all go to Cindy Guyer's restaurant, demand
Yes.
demand to ask her about Space Ghost,
Yeah.
and get banned. Last thing she was in before this was a film called Soldier of Fortune in 1991. It's a romance film. It's I got 25 minutes in and then kind of gave up. Sorry. And
Yeah.
then Diana Parkinson, who represented the United States at Miss World 1965, and she came second. And then she served as a model on The Price is Right. This is what made me wonder about the Blossom thing, because they mentioned the Bob Barker thing and she refuses to talk about it.
Yeah.
She did try to sue Bob Barker for sexual harassment after she left Wheel of Fortune. I couldn't find how that ended. I believe it may have just settled out of court. But famously, Barker fired her on air. He basically announced that she's leaving to do other things, and it was not
Without her knowing.
well. I couldn't tell from all the press I was seeing if she knew, if she didn't know, basically she left. It was announced, and then she sued him.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, finding court documents from 1994 without filing the Freedom of Information Act stuff is quite tricky. And clearly, plot twist, when you try and file these kind of things, if you say I'm doing it for a podcast, you get told to sod off.
Yeah. You know, the FOIA people aren't really interested in talking about it on podcasts.
They have more interesting things than me to deal with at the moment. So I
would disagree.
But she's she's one of those guests. Like this is again after quite well known comedian Bobcat Goldthwait and legendary punk band the Ramones. Someone from Wheel of Fortune and a model are like, oh, we're stepping down.
We gotta fill the time.
It's such
we gotta
a
film our
weird
like it. Yeah. Yeah.
I will say though, Diane does get my favorite gag of the episode with the would you tell me about the fair? I have ways of making you tell me about the fair. I would say, Diane, tell me about the fair. Which is
Tell me about the
such a good job. I just love Space Ghost's weird obsession in that brief moment.
Yeah.
And the really good visual gag of him being called My Little Space Ghost, then immediately shrinking.
Yeah.
Do you guys think the Vatican stuff was another way to fill time?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, it had to be. It had to be. Like I don't know if there was anything big going on in the Vatican in 1994. Like
John Paul II is still very much alive. He's not
still very much alive, and he won't pass away until much later. Like there,
spoilers for those of you
Vatican
starting
II
the punch
has
from
been
the
over for
beginning.
years.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
there wouldn't be a conclave at that time, let alone one that would select a space ghost or a praying mantis as the new Holy Father. But
hey, now a White Sox fan got to be the Pope. Anything is possible.
sure.
To be fair, I also presume that's probably some of the easiest stock footage to get quite cheap because it's AP put it out all the time for all of the Sunday services. It's
also
a wide shot, so you have to worry about censoring faces.
It's also not I couldn't tell if it was in color or not, if that's just what the Vatican looks like in
It
those
was in
shots,
color.
but it was in
You
color.
see a very colorful priest midway through.
Yeah.
Oh, because I it was very hard to tell.
I just thought you had like a weird moment where everything went black and white.
Yeah.
Everything it's black and white. This is actually happening during Vatican II. Like that would have been really funny.
Catholicism
be-
flashback.
It would be on brand for Space Ghost Coast to Coast to get archive footage from, decades prior and just be like, here's Space Ghost. He's a ghost. Maybe he's a holy ghost. We don't really know. Here he is.
To be fair, I'm surprised that the footage was so recent. I really would expect if you told me that was what the joke was, that it would be, 20s newsreel footage and Space Ghost has suddenly got more frames than them. And
That
Yeah.
would be very funny. See, they should have hired us back in
I
1994.
also like the opening gag of Space Ghost being translated into Latin and then being poorly subtitled.
Yes, that was
Which-
so funny.
That Latin is
Specifically for me, that was funny.
weirdly good. So someone in the writing room was like, finally, my 3 years of Latin at school are going to be used.
That
Soundwave populi.
I related so hard to that for a second because for those of you who don't know, I have a master's degree in ancient linguistics and I took years of Latin in school. So when I saw that, I was like, yes, this is perfect.
This episode
Like
was,
I loved it. The declensions were correct.
was made for me.
Yeah. I've been waiting for this.
Yeah, this podcast is good for, not for knowledge of things like silly things like popular sitcoms. You've got the ancient languages. I know not too much about the Pope.
Yeah.
This is what you need to review Space Ghost properly.
You need to
can tell-
understand the Pope and you need to understand ancient linguistics.
I also did quite like the gag when they're going back in the ship and they're complaining, Zorak's complaining about the tape, and the Space Ghost like, there's a guitar. I think what really this episode will nail a bit more is that the Space Ghost Zorak chemistry is going into this very naturalistic way, in that it really does just feel like this was just the voice actors talking and we recorded it and it's just funny. Like they just feel so natural together now. It works really well.
And they got that chemistry fast. Like that happened very quickly.
Oh yeah.
I do like the image, the visual of Zorak riding shotgun in the Space Ghost mobile.
They just have him edited in at the bottom of the
Yeah.
shot.
Because if you ever watched like Space Ghost Coast to Coast, Space Ghost in the Galaxy Trio or whatever, they never obviously Zorak never got in the ship. Just like Zorak obviously never had a set where he was surrounded by a xylophone. I get that, but yeah, it's it's just
Zorak.
for me. Zorak's. Is this the first episode where we get the distinct blinking noise from Zorak, or am I just noticing it now? Like the pronounced click whenever he blinks.
That's a good question. It's definitely it might be. If not, it's definitely mixed higher now because I don't remember hearing it before this.
Yeah, just the loud click click because there are those awkward quiet moments that the show thrives in, frankly, in this episode. So yeah,
Sorry, my co-host has joined in.
Oh yeah.
Zorak has arrived.
The chat.
Zorak has arrived.
I need to next time I get a cat, I'm going to name the cat Zorak.
That's a good cat name. My cat's name is Steeljaw, but
yeah, that's what I should. Zorak, Brack, and Moltar. That's
oh man,
no, you have to have one called Space Ghost.
No, you have a hamster named Space Ghost, and they all chase it.
Oh.
Yeah, and would it have to be a black and white, right? For Space, just like Zorak would clearly have to be green.
Yeah, you get a white cat and you dye it green,
Yeah.
Very normal things.
I love how you could very clearly see in your eyes the moment you realized where that was going and you were just too late to stop.
Yeah, I'm committed. Let's just keep it going.
Oh, that was funnier than the Jerky Boys.
Oh God.
A lot of
they
things
have
are
their
funny.
own. They had their own movie, at least. They had at
did?
least
They had a movie?
Yeah, they had a movie and they fell out because apparently they stopped getting along because they're kind of assholes.
Who would have thought?
Their Wikipedia page is a delightful romp for just. I have these moments. I look at this and there's probably a German word for it when you realize that other people have lives and they exist, have internal lives. I have that when I go on these Wikipedia pages for American franchises. I'm like, wow, this existed and people watched it and spent money on it for 10 years and I've never heard of it.
I think, is this the biggest relic of its time? Like more than like Susan Powder in the first episode or any of that stuff. I think this is like it's really you can explain Susan Powder. You can be like, yeah, that she was a nutritionist and fitness expert in the early to mid 90s. With Jerky Boys, it's like, yeah, there was this really popular duo that did prank calls that people really liked.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of looking at a Gen Z child and asking them to tell you what the save icon is.
Yeah. I
Like,
think this
yeah.
is like the
They don't
most
know.
90s thing that we've seen like the
Oh,
most of its era guest that we've had so far.
Oh
yeah. I,
yeah.
I think this episode is the biggest relic, honestly, because alongside this, you get like just a general model who's mostly known for doing Playboy and book covers.
I can
You
explain that. I can explain that all the live
I can
long.
explain that, but she's still like it's still like a very 90s thing to have this kind of I would say like the early TMZ gutter press kind of thing going on, which was big then. We're kind of
Yeah.
in that Jerry Springer controversy creates cash era.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jerky Boys, I would actually now like to find a modern teenager and try and explain the concept of the joke to them because is Crank Yankers still going? The one with
I
the
don't
puppets?
think so. I
I
I
don't
mean,
think
hope
so.
not. I
no,
deeply,
yeah, I mean,
deeply
I don't
hope
hope
not.
so either. I want to say, I mean, it was always like super cheap programming for like Comedy Central, right? It's just like
Yeah.
record some
I
prank
don't,
calls and set it to Muppets or
I don't
legally distinct creatures.
I
Literally
don't think
the
you can
puppets you could buy
do
from the store.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do crank calls anymore. Like I don't think people do star 69 or answer phone numbers that they don't know because of the advent of caller
I
ID.
mean, that would be the thing.
It would have to remember it was like, especially towards the end. I say this like I'm an expert of cranky, but
Yeah,
like,
Professor
your PhD
Yankus.
is in crank yankers.
yeah, it was, you know, it was like businesses towards the end where they would, of course, like be obligated to answer the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Because
the
you
closest we kind of get today is like scam baiting people like Kit Boger and stuff like that. That's probably the closest, but even it's still playing a character on the phone line to annoy someone on the other end, but it's a very different. And again, he's a twit, not to offend the guy. I quite enjoy him, but he's still like it's still a Twitch thing. He's not someone who you think, oh, he's gonna get a show on ABC or Comedy Central next year
Yeah.
doing this gimmick.
yeah.
Like this was a
I think
TV
this is
show.
very dead media.
Yeah.
uh,
This is definitely,
that's why the Vatican was there.
and the Vatican's there too.
And the
We were putting it
Vatican's
to
there.
rest.
Yeah. And Space Ghost admitting that that interview kind of sucked.
Even
Which
Space Ghost being like, this was not my best interview. Like that really felt like the voice actor just being like, I don't know what to tell you guys.
Well,
that's
it's just
what
like, yeah, yeah.
it's what threw me because is this a like is this a it doesn't feel well done enough to be a meta gag.
I don't think it's a meta gag at all. I think they're just like, we can't get these guys to play along. Let's just wrap this up. We're good. We've got like minutes of like 2 minutes, 3 minutes of stuff we can build around, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
on the
pull some archival
Space
footage
Ghost
of
kind
the
of says as
Vatican.
much. He's like, we're done here. Like
yeah.
like they call him like, yeah, see Fruit Loop, and he's like, we're done. Like, get out
We're
of
done.
here.
It's especially funny because as we said last week we had those big comedians. Next week we get Weird Al, who is
Yeah.
One of
a
the
big
best.
name in this era. Yeah, and he's a big name in this era. Just this episode is like the budget ran out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and next week we also get one of the better framing jokes of an episode. Like
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
But we do get a call back to Chips, which is always
we
great.
do get a call back to Chips,
We-
which is very fun. I love
we
knowing that Moltar's favorite show is Chips.
we get
Yeah.
a call back to this subtitling joke as well. Technically,
Oh, this, yeah, yeah.
Punch.
yeah. So this kind of set up a lot. Oh, yeah, we forgot the main joke of this episode is people like saying the word punch.
Punch, punch. How do you, yeah, how, yeah, fresh off the Jerky Boys saying that he needs a punch in the mouth. He's like, I'm going to immediately undercut this by just repeatedly saying the word punch.
Because it stops sounding like a real word.
Yeah, punch,
Like,
punch.
one of the things I really enjoy about the Zorak Moltar Space Ghost dynamic is actually pretty well exemplified in these two episodes, in that Zorak and Moltar are in their own personal hell because Space Ghost is so much dumber than they are, but they are still prisoners on the set. Like, it's a weird little thing, but I think it sets it up so nicely.
Yeah, the idea is that like Space Ghost is going through a midlife crisis. So he's gonna like he goes through his midlife crisis and he's like, I'm a talk show host now, and he coerces his former enemies to fill out his production crew.
Yeah.
That's
And
basically the
it's
setup.
so good. It's so
Yeah.
good.
They kind of play into that. I love how Space Ghost's language is always a little bit dated. Like there's like the Vatican joke. What he says is "Jeepers, my chat show," which
Yeah.
is
Jeepers.
such like a Hanna-Barbera character thing to say. It really does play the idea that he is this horrible relic of the past.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He basically in terms of development, he's flash frozen since like 1968 and comes out 15, 25 years later and is like, oh, I need to like this is what I do now, but I'm still functionally the same person, just more needy because I'm not a superhero anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Space Ghost arc in a nutshell of such a thing can exist.
And then there are going to be a bunch of side characters that Space Ghost is going to get as time goes on in this show. And because I do remember a lot of the weird little side characters that pop up.
We get Brack. We haven't gotten to the Brack stuff yet. We haven't gotten to Harvey Birdman starts to show. We
Oh
get a
yeah.
lot of people.
I I do, and I don't know if we're gonna make it that far, but I do like when Birdman shows up and he's just got this insane drinking problem and he's like
Oh yeah, yeah.
deeply depressed.
I mean, the underlying premise to the Space Ghost Coast to Coast into Harvey Birdman and the creation of Adult Swim is that all your favorite Hanna-Barbera superheroes, Blue Falcone, all these guys
We make party.
have finally like cracked. They've reached their 40s or 50s and we're like something fundamentally changes and they're like, I'm going to change careers. I'm going to become an attorney or I'm going to become a talk show host or I don't forget I forget what happened to Blue Falcone. But
He
other than
also became an attorney. He was
okay,
the rival attorney for Harvey Birdman.
that's right. The other firm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like Reducto. That's
Reducto,
it.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then you get stuff like Venture Brothers, which is very much a part of this set of humor because that is also based off of a lot of the Hanna-Barbera stuff like
Yeah.
Johnny Quest.
Yeah,
See, like,
wasn't it originally Johnny Quest as well, if I recall, like in
It, there,
production?
there was they like in Venture Brothers they did outright reference Johnny Quest. They did have to change his name to I think like Jonathan Danger or something like that because they were like you can't just straight up call him Johnny Quest. You can't do that.
yeah. Yeah. So,
I
you
think
know,
it's funny that you've mentioned that. I realized, Sam, that this is like probably the only example I can think of that working. Like doing the character you loved as a child has gone mad and has become bitter and dead. Because a lot of stuff's tried that. Hello, recent Scooby Doo reboots.
Ugh.
But this is like the only time it works so naturally. Probably because Space Ghost is played as such a large ham, it feels weirdly genuine.
it also works because Space Ghost, and I love Space Ghost, but your general person on the street knows who Scooby-Doo is, but they have no idea who Space Ghost is. There's a level of obscurity with Space Ghost and Sea Lab and Harvey and Birdman that it works because it's like I'm not as familiar with this character, but he's clearly a thing. Like he clearly exists.
I think the
So
other thing too is that a lot of those 60s superheroes like Space Ghost and not Batman, Birdman and and a handful of the others, they don't really have much in terms of a personality. They just
Yeah.
kind of have a cool costume and a distinct look and not much else. So when you make shows but as opposed to the Scooby-Doo gang where, Shaggy is a stoner, Scooby is the dog that talks to him and tells him to kill his family, Velma is the smart one, Daphne is the girl, and Fred has been very excited about traps for years. Like they have personalities that you build on, but Space Ghost in the cartoon doesn't really have a personality other than he is superhero and he shoot thing. And I think that helps out here too. There's a blank canvas to work off of.
they have the same power. They have
Yeah.
the wrist right. That's
One
both
is just a
are-
ghost and one is a bird.
yeah. They are functionally the same. It's a different setting, but they are functionally
Well,
the
but he's not a ghost. I love as we'll get to it so one day. As my favorite Space Ghost episode is they do go to a ship full of ghosts at some point,
same. Yeah.
and there is a moment which feels like the writer like leaning on the fourth wall, being like, I'm Space Ghost, but I am not a ghost." As in,
Yeah.
like, kids, he's not dead. It's fine.
Except
Space
in the
Ghost is
comics where
alive.
he's dead.
Yeah. No,
He is
Space
dead in the comics though.
it's like the Lone Ranger's technically supposed to be a ghost, or the Phantom's technically supposed to be a ghost. The term ghost is just used liberally.
Look, man, he's no Boston Brand, okay? Like
Backing
that's
me
not
up. Back in the old days, for big ghosts like copyright and everything, you call whatever you wanted a ghost. Just
Yeah.
go on the
Back in
street and
my
point
day,
to random
ghosts were
people.
ghosts.
Ghost.
Yeah.
Back in
I,
my day, ghosts were ghosts and birds were birds.
I keep I've said this in other occasions before, but I can't stop going until to cons until I finally see a Space Ghost cosplay. Then I can hang it up. And I've been going to cons for over a decade now.
Damn it, I
You-
should do that.
Yeah, and then yeah, I see you and I'm just like I'm good, I'm done. And just
You
like
just
walk
come
into
to the
sunset
you
and
come to
never
New York Comic Con and you see me walking around. It's like, oh hey, and you don't even say hi to me. You're like, yep, that's right, and then you
yeah,
leave.
I don't even I turn around and leave the con and walk into the sunset and
At the
never
end of
see again.
a 50s western, just your boots are there.
You have
Yeah.
Head Shala playing in the background very slowly.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm surprised because Space Ghost is a very easy cosplay. Actually, now I'm thinking, I was like, that'd be doable, cheap.
Space Ghost would actually be a much harder cosplay than you think because of the cowl. Like that particular kind of cowl, making it stick onto your face is actually a lot harder than it looks.
Blue
Also, white
exists.
costumes I feel like are a pain in the ass because they're so easy to get dirty.
They're going to show all. Space Ghost shows all the stains.
Yeah.
Ask me how I know what a pain in the butt those costumes are.
Pain in the bus
Believe
watching
me.
Space Ghost is.
I'm
Put
doing
him in the bath.
I'm doing a Captain Atom cosplay for New York Comic
Oh,
Con this year, and it's
yeah.
all silver, and it is a pain in the ass.
I used to have a silver Zenkai suit to be like, or Zakai suit or whatever it's called, to basically be the Silver Surfer, and I forgot to wear a cup.
When did I put Green Man on?
Yeah,
You have to
yeah.
wear
It
a
was
dance belt for
basically
that.
everyone got to see my Norin Rad. It was interesting miscalculation on my part.
You gotta get a
Well,
dance belt for those costumes.
that I'm clipping that out for the highlights. That's the promo clip sorted for the week.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. But do we
Any
have any
last thoughts
final
on
thoughts?
Bobcat and Punch?
Bobcat, great. I enjoyed that. He comes back in later episodes. I'm
Of course.
thoroughly
Yeah.
looking forward to it. I'm pretty happy if I never see the Jerky Boys again. These were good episodes. I think they finally got the format down a little bit, but I don't think I. This might be the biggest like two episodes together guest quality flip you can have
Yeah.
from very famous and liked to who the hell are you people?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
basically the same idea here. Like, who the hell are these people?
Yeah. That's
How about
that.
you?
I concur. I mean, Jerky Boys are, I think, one of the worst guests that the show ever has, and Bobcat, as much as I kind of raise my eyebrow at his sense of humor and public antics, is one of the few that makes the being in on the joke concept work.
Yeah. But that does mean we have pulled into our final destination, and it's time to disembark from Toonami Absolution. Thank you once again for talking with us about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John.
And we'll see you next time. Bang.